I tell the parents, see, they are consuming the video content for entertainment. And if they're consuming the same format for studying also, then the brain is confused. Like, if you're just watching a video for entertainment, it's okay if you lose your focus for a little bit. I was also working with the Sri Chaitanya group, so
We hate that college.
why Drabad?
If I can say this on behalf of everyone who is going to listen to this one. I studied in Sri Chaitanya, Telangana, like Hyderabad.
Yeah.
My wife did too. I feel like Indians have figured out a formula to get into these prestigious colleges, because like a lot of Indian parents I meet, they tell how their children are involved in one sports activity, one social activity, one music instrument. And I'm like, why so many things? And they're like, that's how they get into these colleges. And is that true?
Ever imagined being your own boss or starting a side hustle, but life got in the way? Whether it's education loans, visa restrictions, family commitments, uncle auntie ka pressure, or the fear of failure, I've been there too, and maybe you have too. I'm Jay Desai, a partner, an immigrant, and most recently a papa with deep family ties in India. Welcome to the Hustlers podcast, where I sit down with immigrant, Desi entrepreneurs and unpack their journeys, the tough bits, and the secret sauce to their success in today's crazy world. Ready to find the courage to chase your dreams? Or just learn about interesting businesses Desi immigrants start? Subscribe now and share with your friends who need a dose of inspiration. Now let's get started. My guest today helps children of immigrants navigate the educational system in US. She has built a small business combining her passion for coaching and her belief that dedicated teachers make a lifelong impact in a student's life. Let's hear more from her.
Hi, Garima. Welcome. Thank you for joining me on the Hustlers podcast. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, Jay, and thank you so much for having me on the Hustlers podcast. And it's my pleasure to be here. And so, a little bit about myself and my company. My name is Garima, and I'm originally from India. But here in the United States, for the past 4 years, I have my own educational startup, so an online education company. And I am the co founder and CEO for Online Chalk. That's the name of my company. We help elementary through high school students navigate the American education system. And for high school students, I also help them apply to colleges. Primarily, my motivation for doing this was that I want to help the parents of these children who have not been through this system, and their first kid has to go to college.
So it's like the second generation immigrants. The kids are the second generation.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yes.
And how did you stumble upon this? Where did you start from?
I want to say that I was always interested into academia. My family and my husband's family, side of the family, they're through several generations, they've all been heavily into academia. So that environment was always there of helping other people. And even before I moved here, I did not know I'm going to come into this foreign land. But even when I was back in India, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to have a space for people to be helping other students. That was something that was missing in my time in India. Not just trained academically, you were coached in life in general. So that's what I wanted to do. Maybe credit also goes to a lot of my teachers who were always take like the extra step and go the extra mile for their students and try to make them better at life instead of just making them better at certain subjects. I felt like I did better in those classes. Yes.
And when you say your both sides of your families are involved in academia, what kind? Were they in like a business or were they teaching? What was the involvement like?
So my dad is a librarian.
Interesting.
So yeah, and we did not grow up watching a lot of TV. We were always like given books and so that. And then my mom is a homemaker, but she also is very much into this like life coaching. Like she would always underline stuff for us to read. That was how I grew up. And then I married into a family. They have schools back in India. So they encouraged me when I decided to start online.
When you had this high level idea of you wanted to help students coach, how did you decide on what kind of services to offer when you started?
There are so many resources for just understanding calculus or like chemistry or something. But I felt like most students, they don't know how to approach
Okay.
learning. Is learning just acing your tests, or do you need to know the
Okay.
subject? Like that was my starting
Okay.
point. That, oh, this is, if you know how to learn, then you can really do okay in any subject that you choose. You will never be like, oh, I'm good in chemistry, but I'm not good with physics, or I'm not good with literature. But this takes
Hmm.
time to develop that
Okay.
learning. That's what I started doing. I used to just tell them that, listen, this is the framework, and this is the whole template. This is what it is. And this is how you should be looking at the information that's given to you.
So you started off thinking it as a tuition service.
Yes. Or like I would tell them little strategies to make it more
Okay.
interesting sometimes. And initially, we just started with like our friends would reach out that, hey, like I would reach out to them that I have some extra time. Are your kids having any
Hmm.
difficulty? So maybe I'll work with them. And kids, they see a new person trying to help them. They're well behaved.
Mhm. Hmm.
So they, yeah. And also in India, I was also working with the Sri Chaitanya group, so
We
the,
hate that
that,
college. Sorry. I think to
Hyderabad, yeah.
if I can say this on behalf of everyone who is going to listen to this one. I studied in Sri Chaitanya, Telangana, like Hyderabad. My wife did too.
I worked in Delhi, so that was a little different, I would say, because in terms of, so you will always, these big chains will always tweak the
Hmm.
format for the kind of place. This wouldn't fly in
Right.
Delhi.
Okay.
The kind of discipline they had back in Hyderabad would not probably fly in the
Okay.
NCR
Okay.
area. So because you have to be like similar to competition, if we are like really disciplining them, it's gonna be bad business.
Yeah. Please say
I
I was
wanna.
born in the wrong place at the wrong time. We got the worst of. Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed working there because I had just finished my master's. I did not even have my degree
Okay.
yet. I was like, okay, what to do? Let me reach out. Why should I wait for some job opportunity to open up? And let me go around and ask
Mhm.
people if they're looking. I was very
Okay.
naive and recent. Landed in Sri Chaitanya's office, and they coincidentally their biology teacher was going off for a long
Hmm.
vacation. So they said, okay, we've got one person to sub for them, and this will serve like a trial or probation period for
Okay.
her. Okay, you have to work for 10 days. Like, and then by the time that 10-day period was over, and they had a class wherein you had to teach them all the
Hmm.
subjects. I used to teach them literature also, and of course bio and chemistry, a lot of different grades. And then there was one class that was only for me. This is, by the time the teacher returned, the kids wouldn't let me go.
Okay. Interesting.
they, they said, no, we want this
Okay.
teacher. That's how
So, what was your
I
master's in?
I have a master's in
Okay, and
microbiology.
so you went from microbiology to teaching. Was that the path you had always thought of?
I wanted to always have another option also, and I wanted to try teaching. It could have been being like a university faculty, but this just happened
Okay.
to me.
Okay.
And then I felt, oh, this is better than going to college, because you're interacting with the younger
Hmm.
crowd. So there is so much more potential to make an
Hmm.
impact.
Hmm.
It was just destiny.
Interesting. Like that approach of you wanted to actually make an impact starting right out of college, and where we are like, we want to earn money. That's the first thing we want.
I don't know why.
Yeah, you're talking about your US journey, right? Where how did you get into this?
So when I came to the US also, I felt like this is
Hmm.
missing. And parents are not able to help them. My students' parents, they are from all top IITs and whatnot, but it's just the system is
Hmm.
different. So they feel, oh, I should be able to teach my kid who's in elementary school, but the way the information is presented, it's so different that kid will tell them, oh, I don't know what you're teaching, it's wrong.
Um,
That's when I felt like, oh, it's the same thing, it's just a different way or method.
So I would assume you had a lot of friends in that stage who were parents and they had kids, and that's how you discovered
Like
there is
they,
this problem.
and I used to be in the library a lot when I moved and just read books or see, and I would see a lot of college students teaching high school students over there. And because of my husband's academic background, he was a researcher at these big universities, so I used to hang out in those places. This was my world, hanging out in the universities. And then New York is a great place to meet people,
Okay.
and you go there, and even in coffee shops people will always be willing to talk, and sometimes coincidences happen and like you end up having a great conversation. So like I would go to these lectures by big professors, and like we used to read their textbooks in
Hmm.
college. So, oh, this person is physically delivering a lecture, why don't I go
Hmm.
and listen to him talk? So those, but then other side, my friends who had just come here and they had kids in elementary school, they were like, oh, I don't know what this kid is doing, he doesn't do homework and all, because it's not a thing here in elementary school. Homework is not
Hmm.
even a thing.
Hmm.
And even up until middle school, I know some schools, if there is a long weekend, it's a policy, they will not give you homework, which is something.
Yeah, in India, they load us with homework so that we are busy during the holiday. And we are supposed to write stuff
Yeah,
from
like
one place to
books,
another.
and all those big fat books we had
Yeah.
to study from. But yeah, so their parents were like, oh, I don't know why my kid is not studying, the kid knows everything. That's how I started that, okay, this is definitely some
Okay.
gap. And because I was more inclined to this, I it happened with me that I was hanging out with those people who could, from whom I could learn, okay, this is the system here, this is how things work, and this is there. And once you are on that track, then you can always find information and you can always like build on it. And I feel like teaching was a natural gift, I feel
Okay.
that, and just
So then,
wanted to work
so then you
more.
figured out your friends' kids are facing this problem. So then you started coaching them. You were also learning in the process of how to teach kids here.
Yeah, so the foundation had established, then I took on this responsibility. It's a big
Yeah.
responsibility. So yeah, when I felt confident, that's what I started doing.
Okay. So at this point, were you just voluntarily teaching your friends'
Yeah,
kids, or okay? And
like a fixed schedule or anything. It was just
okay, and when did that
something.
transition to a business to onlinechalk.com?
It took some time actually. And during that time, also, we moved. We did not stay very long in New Jersey. We did not stay very long in Boston, also. And then I realized that, hey, if I have to do, and I was always on and off doing
Hmm.
something. In between, I would also, like, I volunteer for the Art of Living. So in between, I would also take up those
Okay.
projects. I just try to keep the sanity with my
Hmm.
environment because it's very hard. My husband's visa was a cap exempt one, so I could not get a work permit. I could only get like a green
Oh,
card
okay.
or so. So I was like, I can't sit and just be irrelevant like this. That's why. But then I realized that this is something has to be done. It has to be done like remotely.
Hmm. Because you were moving quite a bit.
Yeah, so I can
Yeah,
move with him and still have something of my own.
got it.
So that, and one of few friends, they just reached out that, oh, hey, my nephew needs like
Hmm.
SAT uh tutoring, can you help? And that's how that's when just started, okay, let's quickly register a company. They said, no, no, we'll do it like a professional thing. And they connected me with a few people to like offering to help set up the thing, and then we figured it out, we did it. Their
Okay,
family,
those were your
I
first set
worked.
of official students.
Yes.
Okay. How long
Yes.
was this no visa work period for you? after coming to US?
3.5 years, something like
Yeah.
that. Not a long,
And I think that's a very long, but yeah, great if you feel that. And you were keeping yourself busy with volunteering opportunities and, tutoring kids, friends, kids.
Yes, yes. For Art of Living, there was one lady in New York. She said, I'll teach you digital marketing, social media. She had a big company there. I said, yeah, of
Nice.
course. I'm happy to
Okay.
learn.
And
I
one
also
very interesting thing you mentioned in New York, especially, right? You said people are happy to talk to you if you're ready to engage in a conversation. Do you have any interesting examples of you randomly started a conversation with someone in a cafe, and how did you do it?
So good engaging conversations with people I had was through
Okay.
somebody. So maybe I met them for the first time, but it was not completely unknown. But I used to have a lot of interesting things in New York. One time I think was some Indian festival, and I had
Okay.
sindoor. Okay, and I was at some food truck or something, and this lady comes to me and she's like, "Your head is bleeding."
Okay.
I said, "No, it's a sign that married women in India, it's considered auspicious. So tell me more." And
Hmm.
I was like, "What is there to tell? This knowledge gap can be
Nice.
anywhere. And some things you can resolve, some things you can't." So I said, "This is how it is." And I never bothered to question this. Why am I putting this? But yeah, it was some festival,
Okay.
something I can't remember. It was
Interesting.
so that was there. But yeah, I've met very good people who would say, "Oh, if you're willing to learn, then this you're in the right
Hmm.
place." Hmm.
Because your husband is moving continuously and you wanted to do something you taught in India, you like teaching here, you figured out a gap. So from idea of now I want to do it as a business, did that come from you or was it from your friend whose nieces and nephews came to you for studying?
This is just when COVID started hitting. So then suddenly everything shut down, flights were not going, and I was pregnant with my daughter. And my friends would always come and they would say, "You are so good, you should do this professionally." And I just felt, oh, these kids, they call me auntie, so let me, they enjoy being with me or whatever. But then we said, okay, they were very insistent, this, you have to do it.
Hmm.
Like we would be going to another company or some other person, but we don't want to.
Hmm.
So that's what
Okay.
happened. And those kids had already taken the SAT, and but they did well on it. There was definitely a good
Okay.
jump. They ended in good colleges after that. So we set up the tech part during that time. And this website of ours, my husband and I built it
Okay.
ourselves. So we were learning as we were doing this, and we were
And you were registering your
building.
business.
And I started.
Interesting part is you were expecting and you were setting up your business during that time. What were like the challenges, risks, and all of that?
So yeah, I still say I have two babies because my company and my daughter were born the same year.
Interesting.
I don't think it was very challenging at that time because we were very
Hmm.
driven. Really knew that this is something that we have to do. And the logistics for setting up the company is very
Hmm.
straightforward, but you just have to find the right information if somebody has to do
Okay.
it. The technology part that we had to set up, apart from the website, like we were testing out what are the different platforms where we can be tutoring and how to integrate it and keep track of things. That was that took some figuring out, but my husband, he really supported me for that, this whole thing. In fact, the name is also online chalk was his
Okay.
idea.
Interesting.
He said that like chalk brings that nostalgia because we
Hmm.
associate teaching, but online is a good keyword for your company. It's more relevant for the generation of people that you will be working
Yeah.
with. So that's how he came up.
So while you were pregnant, you were giving your entire time to this, right? And when did you launch? Was it after your daughter was born or?
We did not have a launch because I told you, right, we had the
Okay.
students already
Hmm.
interested, right? Even now, a lot of my people, they are coming through word of mouth, which has worked for us because these are parents who are vouching for your
Right.
services. So that will, I think, for education, that is always important. So this, my friends were very supportive and they would spread the word, add me to WhatsApp groups and those types of things they would do. And yeah, that kind of worked out.
once your daughter was born? How much time were you able to give to this now?
After I delivered, so my sister is co-founder of
Hmm?
this company with me. So that, and at the time my daughter was born, my sister was
Okay.
here. So she took over some of my workload, and we told the parents that we will be transferring you to a new instructor. And then, but while our parents were here, both sides parents, they encouraged that no, before we go back, you resume your work. Don't wait for us to go back to India, and then it'll be
Hmm.
hard. So it was probably, I would say, 4 months, 5 months. I was not actively teaching or anything, but I was still handling queries.
So, what kind of students were you getting now?
The younger crowd is coming to us when they need some
Hmm.
challenge. In many schools, the curriculum is maybe not, they're not finding it very challenging, or maybe they just want to do something extra and they're naturally
Hmm.
capable of doing. That's the crowd that's coming to us. Very few students for like just in
Regular.
general concept, like regular. But so we have for younger students, I have two math Olympiad teams. I have a Math Kangaroo team. Math Olympiad, Math Kangaroo are mathematical
Okay.
competitions. So they need little extra
Hmm.
training for those things. And high school, it gets harder in high school for students. There is, the curriculum is very
Hmm.
steep. It goes very fast. It gets advanced very fast. So kids are like, and then the system is very different. Like normally you would study physics, chemistry in
Hmm.
bits through the years. Here it's structured that you have to study the whole physics in 1 year
Okay.
and the whole chemistry in one
Oh, over
year.
here.
Similarly for math also, they'll just do algebra 1 year, then the next year they'll do geometry. So it's 1 year they'll only do calculus, which
Hmm.
is little different. And it's at some, for some students that doesn't work because they don't have the whole
Hmm.
picture of things. And 1 year is little less time to, for, especially for
Hmm.
sciences. So that's when I'm trying to help them just getting like some grip on the
Hmm.
basics and the foundation and not getting lost. So as soon as students reach high school, grades drop very quickly. So that's when we come in, and my services are all one on
Okay.
one.
How
Is
said in the beginning there, the teaching style here or the learning style here is different from India. How did you learn the techniques and ways of education here?
See, if you go deep down, it's all the same. I had to learn how to say certain things. See, another thing that I also enjoyed here was students, teachers are not put on that
Hmm.
pedestal that, oh, we have to know everything. The day I started teaching, if I told them that, hey, can I get back to you on
Interesting.
this? I'm unsure, so I don't want to give you any wrong information. They would respect me for that.
Okay.
I never had to fake some things, and we're all
Hmm.
learning. So you lose touch with some things, or something is new for you, or maybe it seems new for you the first time you see it, and then you're like, oh, this is what
Hmm.
it is. That's, so you can, it's okay to say
Hmm.
that.
Okay, that's interesting. And that's not the approach we have in India, right? We are supposed to know when you ask. And in fact, if the teacher
Mm.
doesn't know, she scolds us back. Like, why did
We
you
make
ask?
fun, or kids will make fun, like
Right.
teenager kids. You have to just know each and every mathematical question. I don't have
Yeah.
to. I'm solving the problem with
Yeah.
them. So I just tell them that, listen, I want to optimize my time with you. So I will break down the problem and explain the framework to you. But see, I felt okay, if I'm going to be committed to this, I will study before I go to class. Like if I have to any class, I will still look at the material.
So what I'm understanding is, at least until this certain school level, high school level, right? They are coming to you for additional understanding of concepts which they're not able to grasp. Don't schools here have any kind of additional coaching if a student is struggling?
See, it's very interesting that here the textbooks are not promoted a
Okay.
lot. So I, that was like the first gap I felt, is that we, it's an underrated resource, but it's very important. So my goal is not to make them dependent on
Mm-hmm.
tutoring. My goal is that you understand how you have to study this
Hmm.
subject. spend some time with me. When you're independent, I let them
Okay.
go. Now they
Hmm.
can do well. And they do. So you nobody has unlimited resources to just depend on
Hmm.
tutoring.
So when you're saying textbook is a different concept here, can you expand a bit on that?
Of course, a lot of technology is used in classrooms, or teachers use their own material and things like that. So textbooks are not mandatory to
Okay.
use. They will always have some recommended textbooks they are supposed to have, but students are not in the habit of
Got it.
using.
Got it.
And I don't say that for across the US, but I work with a lot of states, and this is one common factor that I noticed in many
Hmm.
states. That this is what's happening. So we get the textbook, then I show them how to look at it, how to organize that information is. So it's going to help them because textbooks cover
Right.
everything,
Right.
right?
In India, how we go chapter by chapter and it's all as per the text. We even know what's coming next class or things like that.
That also I introduced in a few of my classes, that okay, if the I feel that the student is really losing confidence, then I say that hey, do a few classes like more frequently, and let's get ahead of the curriculum in class. So let's attack the subject before it attacks you,
Right.
and that makes them comfortable
Okay.
also.
And so now you have done a job back in India, like Chaitanya and other places. And now we are doing sort of a business, though you're still teaching, but there are a lot of other parts to this business, right? What do you prefer now?
See, I now I'm an outdoor cat, so I can't go back to a normal regular 9 to 5. I hope it doesn't come to that ever, but I feel like I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Every day I get these texts from people, from parents doing well, and then I just feel it's very
Hmm.
gratifying
So that's the.
to be doing.
But you receive texts for the teaching that you do, and the same teaching you probably did in a job, right? You were teaching that, and that's the part you enjoy the most as well. So what parts of the business are you enjoying apart from this teaching? Because it's a lot more, like you said, and now you have a daughter, and I don't know how many hours you work and how much time you get and all that.
That's a great question, actually. But see, eventually I know my company will
Mm-hmm.
grow, and I want to give the same flexibility to other women also. My company is a women owned, women run company, and I hire a lot of women instructors or for social media and things like that. So I want to extend, I want to be in that position to allow other people to have a source of income and be flexible about it, learn, develop new skills, and contribute to such an important
Right.
thing. Like literally, parents they come to us and they tell us that our kids' future is depending on you. Big
Big
thing.
response.
But I want to be in that position now so that I can extend this thing to other people. And I'm sure there are more people who share this passion or motivation, but maybe they're not in the situation to start something of their own, or maybe they did not have the support that I have from family, from your spouse, or so that's why. So let them start here. It's we are very flexible, we have a good uh, environment here. Everybody has to work from their own homes, it's very remote.
So no, that's a interesting. You're not just teaching students, but you are giving opportunities to so many people who may not have figured out the way you figured out. You can create as
Yeah,
much impact on both sides.
I
Yeah.
want
Okay. And give us some tips on how can someone start in your space. And best if they collaborate with you. There can be cases where they want to start independently. And
of course.
let's break it down to how can they find clients or customers.
I would say reach out to your circle. Now, that can go both ways. For some people, your immediate circle is always on the
Hmm.
fence about your services. They don't trust you as much. Now, once you start getting famous, then they'll
Hmm.
reach out. But there are some people who are on board from day one, that you will only, you are going to work with my kid, which happened to me. So that, but reach out to your immediate circle. So that's your first
Hmm.
practice for calling or texting, because you interact with your friends just on a social level, but for business it's
Yeah.
practice. do that. Now, of course, social media can be leveraged, and many websites like Sulekha is also like a great
Mm.
place where you can post
Okay.
uh, these things. Reach out to local libraries also. That's also where a
Mm.
lot of parents, students are hanging out. So you can talk to them, let them know, but understand that it's a
Mm.
process. People will say no to you. Maybe your first student will not end up getting great grades, or something might happen. It can go wrong at any point. Be prepared for that, and be prepared for that critique also. It's okay. And drop your guards down. Just drop it, and just don't feel like you can
Mhm.
be an expert, but you don't have to have it in your head that, oh, I'm an
Okay.
expert. Then it
Mm.
flows.
Okay. From what I'm understanding so far in this conversation, it's you're saying at the core it's all same. Even the education here and in India, the teaching styles might be different. So anyone with certain level of education in India can easily start a practice like this. Do they require any kind of degrees, certifications, qualifications to teach
You
here?
can, I am very honest about it that no. If you ask me, I have a teaching degree in the US. I don't. I have not gone to school here. And there is no law as
Hmm.
such.
And what are the common subjects that students seek out here?
Math,
Okay.
just language, English
Okay.
language. It's just called as English language and arts here, ELA. So that's, then all of the STEM
Okay.
subjects. And like I said, normally we are training them for some challenging things like these math competitions. So yeah, that's the focus. And then in high school
Okay.
STEM, so there is a specific category of exams which is known as the AP exams, which is advanced placement exams. So those are conducted by a separate body, the college board that's doing those AP exams
What are they for?
for college
Oh,
admissions.
got it. Okay. Okay.
Placement
Still new
and
areas for you, right? Like advanced placements. How do you learn about it and teach them?
because advanced placement is very standardized, you can find the college board website has
Okay.
clearly explained the whole
Hmm.
format, and that information is accessible to
Okay.
everybody
How do you recruit? What are your sources of recruitment?
through my like circle,
Okay.
or also because I've been working with these students also. Now they are in
Hmm.
college, almost close to graduating, so sometimes they will also join
Okay.
us.
Interesting.
Undergrads, yeah, they have become
Okay.
experts in their focus area
Right.
now, so
Right.
yes, and they love to do
Hmm.
this, they just enjoy it.
And how many hours of commitment is it per day? For you, it may be different for your staff members.
So because our services are one on one, the teacher and student, they set up the
Okay.
schedule. I don't
Okay.
micromanage that.
Okay.
And before, so we do a consultation or like a trial session, which is like a no
Hmm.
commitment class, and whoever will be the designated instructor will be present in that class. That's the person who will do it. So it's not like I do the trial and then somebody else teaches. The parents and the students, they figure out, and of course the teacher will recommended frequency once or twice per week, and they decide maybe for the next 4 to 5 classes, they decide the schedule. And of course here kids are doing so many different things. If something happens, they can always like reach out and
Reschedule. Okay.
reschedule.
Is that your advantage? You would say that first you're online, so you have that easy way to connect from anywhere. And second, because you're one on one. Most of the corporates are not one on one. Is that like your advantage?
No, corporates are also one
Okay.
on one, but the pricing is super
Okay.
premium.
Okay.
We're still entering
Okay.
that
Okay.
zone, but so you can think of our services like a small boutique
Hmm.
center, right? But we've not priced it till that extent because you're offering very personalized services. You can only have as many students, but yeah, you can say this is an advantage, or you can also say it can be a disadvantage sometimes,
Okay.
right? In a group setting, you're always like, there is more people coming in, but that kind of works with physical
Hmm.
locations
Hmm.
more. And personal attention is always my thing, that's always my goal. And I've had students who've quit from these corporates and then they've come to us because they needed that
Mm.
personal touch, kind
Okay.
of. Our instructors, they know the birthdays of the students, so it's a very close connection that we have.
Interesting. Okay. And you have been teaching since India, and that's probably 20, I don't know, since
More than a decade now,
more
I
than a
would
decade.
say.
Have
Yeah.
you seen a shift in terms of it's different countries, but have you seen a shift in terms of the concentration capabilities of students, the retaining capacity, and all of that? Because how the overall social media has evolved from Facebook, Instagram to TikTok, which are like 10-second, 5-second videos. And do you see that reflected in your in terms of your students?
And it's very interesting that you brought it up, because that's why I you remember I talked about the
Right.
textbooks, right? So that I tell the parents, I tell them that, see, they are consuming the video content, that content for
Mm.
entertainment. And if they're consuming the same format for studying also, then the brain is confused. Like, if you're just watching a video for entertainment, it's okay if you lose your
Mm.
focus for a little
Mm.
bit. If I'm just the student and the teacher, I can always see what they're
Mm.
shifting eyes, and I catch
Mm.
them. How many tabs are open? You can catch
Mm.
them. And I have caught many kids like that. That's why the focus, for me, the focus is on writing
Mm.
more. The focus is on reading the books, actual books,
Mm.
more, and kind of annotating as you go, and writing especially, very underrated in these times. But like, even for math, if you're
Mm.
writing those things, your certain parts of your brain are more active, and you're able to focus
Mm.
more. Your ability to organize information is also better.
Mm.
Like, I've noticed that there is definitely a shift in the focus and the concentration because of so much video, and
Mm.
this that's very stimulating
So
for
then
younger brains. That's
a
why.
lot of people say, right, where video is a new form of learning. Now people have started making videos of everything. But I think what you're saying is textbook is a better approach because in video you lose attention, you're passive compared to textbook where you're actively
uh,
reading.
I would say that for the demographics that I'm working with, okay, because at that age they don't have that sort of a drive or the motivation to absorb the thing
Hmm.
completely. It's just imposed that, okay, you go to school, you get a good grade and all of that. A person who's probably older, like for me or for you, if we are trying to learn something, and a video is always more convenient, and even if you lose focus, we will always go back to those
Okay.
parts because we know that. But for the demographics that I am working with, specifically textbooks,
Hmm.
teaching, I put a lot of emphasis on those
Okay.
things, because for whatever, like, even in college, they you should always be able to articulate what you
Hmm.
understood. Initially, you should always be able to organize the information and understand that, okay, this is what's happening,
Got it.
which I think sometimes gets missed in the video
Hmm.
format,
Okay.
because you're just absorbing.
Got it. And one other aspect you're talking about how your says more personalized, that personal touch and all. Do you see AI helping you or disrupting your way of teaching?
So I because I also coach students for college applications, so they have still not clarified their stance on use of
Mm-hmm.
AI. For the specific demographics that I deal with, they will not use AI to really make something brilliant. They will use it for convenience. And that's the same exact reason that videos are being used for convenience, which I feel like at this age, that should not be a top priority. And as for college application, especially, like, the plagiarism softwares and those are in place, so I don't
Mm.
recommend using AI for
Mm.
convenience. For learning, yes, we have interns who design these AI based projects or things like that. That's encouraged. I encourage that. to explore, to learn. So I don't use any AI technology so far in whatever we are doing. It's very much with human beings, with real people. In future what happens we don't know, but currently even the college application stands, and they've even gone the extra mile to say that, oh, if the essay has a lot of impressive words, we're not going to account that for being an exceptional student's profile. The language of the essay is no longer that important, because we know that people have access to these AI tools to do that for them.
I follow this space a little more, AI space, and there have been a lot of things about how everyone will have a personalized assistant, a personalized coach. Do you see that happening and maybe being a threat to what you offer, or do you feel learning is a very human to human aspect?
So again, so I feel like the people who come to me need that personal touch. That's why they've come
Mm,
to us. And we make that message clear from the start. Even if you look at the website, it's written like it's very
mm,
personalized, it's
mm,
custom, and it's very one on one, it's flexible, and those types of things. I'm sure there are many people who will benefit from just being relying on AI, but I think there is a certain demographic that will benefit from
mm.
that, but the others will come to us.
Yeah. And how do you plan to use? Do you plan to use at all in the future? Where can you
Um,
use?
Maybe for mostly like prediction of things, predicting your scores, or like very basic, but again, it's a very custom thing that we are doing. So now, of course, SAT has become digital. So that is some space where analytics and using AI to model
Mm,
certain things and helping the students visualize, that can become easier for us, because earlier we used to identify these patterns myself. Like I would sit and look at their
mm.
test
Okay.
performances and give them an insight that this is your strength and this is your weakness. But maybe now AI can do that for
Okay.
me.
Yeah. So give us a peek into some of your personal life, or what shaped you as a person, to what got you interested in teaching, who inspired you, who you looked up to.
We My parents don't have a business or anything. Very simple people, very simple family. Also in India, also like we moved a lot with my dad's job. So that was one thing. I changed a lot of schools, and that's when I figured out that if I'm okay with the teacher, then I do well in that subject. Then there is no stopping me.
Okay.
But if there is if I get on the wrong side of a certain teacher, then like I'm just
Okay.
doomed for that year. That was something that always stayed with me. And growing, I'm the older sibling. I have a lot of younger cousins. So in India, you it's a very common practice. The older sibling will teach the younger ones, and it's that's how it was. And like I said, it was very simple growing up, and we used to read a lot. We used to. My parents ensured very good
Mm,
schooling, and I always had great
mm,
teachers. Always, my teachers literally pushed me out of my
mm,
comfort zone. So in school, I was that kid who was doing all extracurriculars, debate, being on the like the school prefect, and some dance or whatever school activities. And yeah, we used to like good grades were always
mm,
encouraged, and learning, like I said. So I definitely look up to my parents for giving me that
mm,
environment of always being able to learn, and they would always make sure that our friends or whoever they were hanging out with, the
mm,
families, were also like learned
mm,
families or very well educated or something like that. So you kids are like sponges, they absorb a
mm.
lot subconsciously. So that was their goal,
Okay. Okay.
always doing subconsciously trying to tell us these things. I don't think my parents ever sat me down and said that, oh no, you should not cheat on a test. It was not
Okay.
like that. They
Yeah.
lived what they
Right.
tried to imbibe in us. They were living
Right.
that
And who inspires you? Anyone that inspired you before now? Anyone you follow?
um so in my family, definitely growing up, my parents, of course, and now my husband, he introduced me to the art of living. So I follow Sri Ravi Shankar ji. He is my guru.
Okay.
And of course, he inspires is in so many
Mhm.
ways. And now that I have to talk so much, I've understood the importance of meditation.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that helps me a
Okay.
lot.
And what about Sri Ravi Shankar do you like? Or,
Because it was like my husband is telling me to do this course or whatever. I took it, but then once I understood, I went all in.
Hmm.
Okay. And so in many of these workshops that we do, he says that you do what you do, but don't take it very
Hmm.
seriously. And that's what I also try to do with whatever what I'm doing. Okay. And whatever happens, I'm not taking it very seriously. It's not like a life and death situation for me. It's something that I'm doing. And it's not doesn't make me who I am. And it doesn't make me like it's not my
Okay.
identity.
So like separate
That
yourself.
just don't be very attached to it. So that, and very interesting story, like we have these silence meditation workshops, and in my pregnancy I did bunch of them. My daughter was actually born in one of those silence meditation
What?
workshops. Like I was in a 3-day silence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I went into labor while I was in
Okay.
silence. So I had to inform my teacher that, oh, this is, I have to go to the hospital. And it was in the middle of a
So you have to
silence
break the
course that
silence,
my,
I'm assuming. Okay.
so I don't know, it just happened like that. And I was not signing up for that workshop, but somebody said, no, we signed you up. You have to come. Just come.
Hmm.
So I went and I was like, it's super nice, super calm. My mind was completely at peace. And my daughter came.
Can you tell a little more about what do you feel and how does it help those silence work?
So we might do as many, but I treat each silence course as my first
Okay.
one because it's that new. And see, I'll also say that normally I don't tell you that this is what I felt, because then you develop a bias. Each of our bodies and each of our systems will respond differently to any meditation that you do. And even now, I've meditated for so long, but it's not like every day I meditate and I feel calm and I don't scream at my kid. No. So that's, you don't have to think about those things. But it's, I feel like now more than ever, it's very important to at least try to get into the space. And I recommend the program. And I say that it's not like you will just be in silence and nothing to do. It's a very guided process. They're taking you into silence, bringing you out of it. There are no shocks. They will try to avoid the shocks to your system. So the process is very well done. And my husband is a neuroscientist, so we've read a lot of research and kind of those things, how it helps the brain. In fact, there are many meditation programs for kids and teenagers. I recommend my students also to do them.
How has it impacted you?
I became very fluid,
Okay.
like just always open to something new. Like before this, I was like very rigid as a person, that, oh no, I am this and I am that. And I had that idea of my identity. Now I don't. Now it's just,
Okay.
it's whatever. It's
Interesting.
just, and we change. And so that's it, it just, and it helped me for all of the things that I had to be adapting to, coming to a new country without family the first time. I had never traveled outside of the country ever before I got married. And I moved initially to Europe. That was where my husband was finishing his PhD. And then I moved to the US. It's a lot of cultural shock, but it primed me to not be very upset or very disturbed about leaving that life in India.
And,
It's a life of convenience that I had.
and talk a little bit about that. You got married, right? And how was that phase of, you said initially you didn't have visa in US. Did you know that you wouldn't be able to work?
I had no
Okay.
idea. I was just, see, this job I got, right? This teaching job I got. So I was doing well. And I was, like I was so busy in that place back in Delhi that if I was not uh, present in the office for a certain day, they could not make that timetable for the day.
Wow.
That I was that involved in everything.
Okay.
Like, oh, give it to me, mujhe de do, I'll do it. I was making test papers and making those. Sri Chaitanya does these big competitions. I used to
Mm.
make, ki mujhe de do, I'll make.
Wow. Okay.
I just liked to do it. So then I knew it was very brief period where I was already married, and then I knew I had no clue.
Okay. Wow.
I'll- and even then I was like, oh, it's okay. I'll find something. I'll go apply for a job. They'll give me a visa. I was so naive, but I was not such a. Now, of course, the news and the media has made it a serious
Mm.
problem that people call us from India that, oh, we are hearing these layoffs are happening. And so I said, yes, they are happening. And but it happens everywhere. But US news is
Everywhere.
covered a
Yeah.
lot. I don't even have a TV at home. I never had a TV at home when we came to the US, and now also I
Interesting.
don't.
Okay.
We don't watch TV. So then one sometimes you're in the situation, it's you're able to handle it more, but when the fear of that situation is, it's more like it really affects you
Yeah.
more than just being in the
That's
situation. Then you
yeah.
troubleshoot and you swim and through it and you
That's
get
so
over it.
true. Yeah.
So that's, I had like like I came to know just before I came. So it was done. We'll do something.
Yeah.
We'll just, and the Art of Living friend circle was very
Mm.
good. I used to always have somebody or the other to
Okay.
meet, date,
And you
and
kept yourself busy in libraries and volunteering and all that stuff. So,
it was just okay.
would you say that was a setback for you professionally, or did it actually?
I don't think it was, because I learned what I know now because of that
Hmm.
time.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, you got that break.
So I don't think it was a setback for me,
Hmm.
especially.
Okay. So, right, you mentioned a lot of your business is word of mouth. But what are the different ways you are marketing your business right now, marketing your services?
So my primarily, like, see, I'm always coming from a space of giving information. So I do a lot of webinars which are again passed on locally through friends or the WhatsApp. Indian community is very active on WhatsApp groups. I'm doing a lot of these webinars which are free to join, and I answer a lot of life questions, or where I feel like in a certain season this is the requirement in terms of knowledge that they should know. So I will do a webinar and invite people to join. So then I have established authority in that area or that subject or whatever I'm talking about, right? And once they see somebody, you feel comfortable. We are not very aggressive with our marketing approach because it's a small company. There's only so much workload that we can handle because we are so heavily involved with every aspect of the kid's life. So we can't have 500 people enroll. However, one day I want that to happen, but I have to do it very organically and build my foundations in a way. So
And how many students at one point do you have? Not just you, but among your staff.
so because we also see it in terms of subscription, like there are some students who are almost taking class every day or like more during the week. I want to say like at any given point of time I will have 50
Okay.
subscriptions, or 50 to about 60 maybe, between different instructors. But summer we have more,
Okay.
because summer where we are actively preparing students for the SAT
Mm.
exam, so that's when I have many college
Mm.
application students, which I those I personally
Okay.
mentor with along with the team. So we have some people who are just like mentoring, and they will come in from IVs, or like they are faculty at top universities, and they will come and they will mentor related to their area of expertise. We have a lot of research opportunities, internship opportunities, wherein students are doing their own projects. We show them some direction, but we try to align their project with their
Okay.
interest so they are motivated to do it. And it can be anything related to like
Mm.
biology or cancer or AI, cybersecurity, and then we also help them publish in high school
Mm.
journals. So like summer is very
Okay.
busy.
So is that for profile building, all that? And
Yes. So two types of students will be with us. One who are actively applying. So the application time has come. But younger students like ninth grade, 10th grade, they will come for profile
okay.
building.
And how do you price your services? Is it hourly based? Is it the course based?
We have both the
Okay.
formats. Hourly based for like regular academic services, but for bigger things like full college application. Now college application is a 7-8 month
Okay.
process,
Wow.
like you have to. But yes, pricing wise I'm still learning, because uh, the kind of engagement that we give, we don't price our services like
Okay.
that. Okay. Imagine not since, so like second half of June until Feb, I don't take many days
Okay.
off, because I genuinely try to be very real time in my edits with the essays and guiding my students. And kids are kids, they will come on the last day. Just be like, oh, I'm not done now.
So what is like your bread and butter of the business? Is it your regular classes or is it the college prep?
So I want to say that regular classes, yes, because those are just an ongoing. But the regular classes, the amount of work we have to do offline, we are not charging for
Right.
that. But the bigger things like college applications, yes, we charge slightly more than the regular academic things. I want to say that, but still, that the whole process, both sides, is very gratifying. So currently, the financial models are still falling into place, and then things change
Yeah.
also, so that. But yeah, so that's the bread. So this is an ongoing thing, it's seasonal changes, just in terms of the demographics of students that I'm dealing
Okay.
with.
Okay.
But otherwise we always have like
So
ongoing
let's say
revenue.
you get super busy, right? For whatever reason. What is one thing you would focus on offering?
I want to say I would focus on the profile building part of high
Okay.
school, which is like our program from ninth to
Okay.
12th
Okay.
grade. And the reason why I will focus on it is like you've done whatever you've done until middle
Hmm.
school. So that hard work is for you to build a foundation for yourself to handle
Hmm.
the workload. But in terms of college admissions, especially the kind of people I'm working with, it's like they say, oh, we are very well educated families. We know, we'll do it. But later, when the time has come, then they feel like, oh, there was so much information that we did not
Hmm.
have, and we just didn't ask, or we only relied on that neighbor's kid who did something, and then we are trying to do the
Same.
same
Yeah.
thing. It's just not, doesn't work
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
that.
And what are some trends and insights you are seeing working in this business? You deal with parents every day, you deal with students every day. One thing you mentioned was that attention span is decreasing and things like that. But what are some other interesting trends and insights?
Definitely AI is coming in more, so that is, however, how directly it's going to impact this whole process, we don't
Hmm.
know. But recently, the SAT was also
Okay.
optional, but now it's coming
Okay.
back. More and more elite universities are requiring that you take a standardized test. So that says something, that they were probably not seeing the kind of results once the kid is in college. That was also very surprising, because many people said that's done, like standardized testing is done for good. But it's coming
Okay.
back, and the research shows that kids who took these standardized tests, they just did well in they admitted
Okay.
everybody, but out of that pool who came without the test scores, they did not do so
Okay.
well. But the ones they came with the test scores, they did
Okay.
well.
Interesting.
Interesting for me also, and I was reading about it, and I'm trying to do that, understand that more. But I think that a part of it comes from the
Hmm.
discipline, because SAT, you have to follow a certain
Okay.
timeline and manage time, and it doesn't happen all the time. You can't just schedule and take
Hmm.
the test anytime you want. It happens in certain times during the year. So that discipline and time management, I think that is maybe a key in this finding. But so that is something that I'm And see, at the core, we want to do a lot of foundational work.
Hmm.
So, trends and insights, yes, it's to educate the audience more, but there is no formula to
Yeah.
hack
Okay.
this. It's very organic.
Actually, it's funny you say that because I have few distant relatives, and I feel like Indians have figured out a formula to hack or get into these prestigious colleges, because every like lot of Indian parents I meet, they tell how their children are involved in one sports activity, one social activity, one music instrument. And I'm like, why so many things? And they're like, that's how they get into these colleges. And is that true?
I don't. See, so maybe a few years back, like 10, 12 years, this could have been the case. But still, I'll tell you, so colleges, they you always have to write like a bunch of essays, and now the underlying message in those essays has changed.
Hmm.
Okay, it's not about achievements anymore, which we Indians all emphasize. Okay, and it's more about your failures and your challenges. Now our kids are so protected and so privileged, they have not experienced failure or challenges in the way that many other people might
Hmm.
have. So now the emphasis is on our challenges and failure. So my essay writing workshops, in the beginning I just have to force them and to share some challenges or something like that, because we are used to just telling the
Hmm.
achievements or like the good
Yeah.
parts. So that has
Okay.
shifted, probably because this became like a red flag.
Okay. Interesting.
How many hours of volunteering you're doing, nobody counts. And they will always ask you, okay, like why are you doing
Hmm.
this, and what is the impact, why are you tutoring poor
Hmm.
kids, why?
Hmm.
Anytime this becomes a formula here, admissions are they're very smart and they are willing to adapt.
Hmm.
They don't let it become a
Hmm.
formula. And now for all of those students who are doing certain things for college admissions, once the application is sent, there is a certain waiting time, then they stop. But now universities are very
Hmm.
sneaky. They're like, okay, application sent, you feel like, okay, I'm done, then they'll send you an email, like one of the IVs, and I won't say the name, but they'll say, okay, to the this happened to one of my students, that we are just curious what is going on in your life, any updates, can you meet us for a quick coffee chat virtually? So we are curious, any updates? So you submitted what you've done. Now you're not doing anything because you're just waiting. So it shows you were doing that for college.
Hmm.
They don't want that. They said you can do photography, you can do whatever. Because, see, colleges, and this is an important message also, colleges are not looking for successful
Hmm.
students, which growing up, what that is what we were
Right.
taught. So nobody understands it. My kid is an A grader, why he did not make it to so and so college? They are not looking for a successful student, because academics to some extent is very predictable, like you figure it out and then you're on the path to getting good grades, and that kind of is
Hmm.
maintained. Real world or careers are
Yeah.
ambiguous, it's not as straightforward and as predictable. So they want to see who will be successful in a career. There you don't need your grades.
Hmm.
You need team building, you need teamwork, you need, like
Hmm.
initiative or kind of accepting your mistakes and your faults, those types of
Hmm.
things.
Interesting.
That is what they're looking for. And we just want to tell the good parts, A grade, gold medalist,
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
It's, if you follow that formula, actually your application will be scrutinized more, extra.
How the formalized fail more.
Of course, that's
Yeah.
important. Success doesn't teach you so much,
Yeah.
failure teaches you.
Yeah. And you get there, right? You get to those successes with those failures, is what they say.
You will get or you may not get, so that cannot be the
Hmm.
expectation,
Hmm.
right? Because we have a different picture of success in our
Hmm.
mind, but anything else that we do may be successful. Even for me, if I feel other friends or other people, they are like making great money, or but I'm just doing what I'm doing, whether you call it a success or you don't
Hmm.
call it a success, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Interesting. And this was very interesting information actually, because I always thought people have that formula, and all Indian parents you meet, they have this formula, and they'll send their kid to one sports play, one music, one social service, and all of that. So, yeah, so what was your initial investment like when you started this business? Was it, and what all were those areas?
So basically, we built the website ourselves. So of course, the hosting and buying the domain and those types of things, we had to buy the subscription. And initially, like integration of these softwares, like for my classroom tool I had to, and signing up for these business accounts, like for emails and like getting a professional emails or other things that we use for graphics and just content wise for the website, that. And then like we have these Math Kangaroo, Math Olympia teams, so we, of course, they charge us to host the exam and those types of things. So yes, of course, it is bootstrapped completely. And but initially we were very mindful of our expenses, so we did not go overboard on anything. And initially we tried to minimize those things, and slowly we added the subscriptions, and of course taxes that also takes away. So yeah, buying the material, and you have to have your
Hmm.
own stuff, so those types of things also are
Okay.
required.
Any number
So
you can share of what the initial investment?
see, it was very gradual, so I would say like a couple of $1,000 to
Okay.
running
And
some
what are
things.
running costs in your, because now you are mostly offering knowledge and those kind of things, but what are the other running or operational costs?
Yeah, so running cross again, these subscriptions for the software that we use. So of course it's a yearly annual subscription. Some are like
Okay.
monthly. We're trying to integrate the digital SAT now. So that will, of course, that licensing, white labeling actually costs you. So that, and just maintaining in general the WordPress things or whatever, having a scheduling system. That's
And how many students did you start with? And now, right now, you said 50 subscriptions or 50 students you have is
yes, and it changes. Yeah, in summer like we have
okay.
more.
What's your maximum? What
But
has been your maximum?
see, starting to now, I probably worked with around like almost like 200 students, I want to
Oh,
say.
interesting. Okay. And a lot of them repeat
Okay.
because they go from one grade.
So far in these years, I've probably worked, like, I'm giving you like a
Yeah,
ballpark number, but yeah, at least 200 I
it's a
must
lot
have
of,
worked with.
that's a big number to impact, right? And impacting 200.
Small number if you consider the big
Yeah.
picture, but yeah, I'm trying to do what I can.
And would you be comfortable sharing the range of, how much you make? I can give you what software engineer makes because that's what most Indians do here.
I'm not matching software engineers right
Okay.
now, at the Mang companies. But see, it will get there. That I know. Okay. And for a small business to get to that place, you need some external funding, or you need some grants, or you need something, because of the way we are working. We're very, like, very personal as a
Yeah.
company. So that I'm still working on getting around to the logistics. And my company is a women only company, so of course there are many things that are offered to women business. You just have to do like a certain number of years being in business and making revenue. So I'm exploring those options, but again, see, that takes away time for me to teach. Now I can't, I'm like working mostly like 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'm usually
Hmm.
working. So it's little slow, but it's okay. I'm okay with
Okay.
that.
Okay. Got it. And what kind of clients do you get? Is it Indians mostly?
Both. I have all types of students. Like, it's a very diverse student group, but for especially for college mentoring, I do what I do is mainly for where I'm coming from, because I feel like parents can relate to
Hmm.
me. Because I know the comparison, I know that, and I understand the gap. So I don't find their questions silly, or is this question? I
But
don't.
how do they trust you? Because you don't have that experience of applying to a college yourself or going through that whole thing.
So again, see, because word of mouth, we are getting people, so a conversion rate is
Okay.
great. Okay, because they're already coming from a friend who you
Hmm.
trust, or that kid already studied with me and they did very well in SAT. They went to a great
Hmm.
university. The neighbors have seen,
Hmm.
they've seen the
Right. Right.
performance. So then they don't ask so many questions. If somebody is really particular of like having a US
Hmm.
education, I am very honest about it. I say, no, I don't.
Hmm.
But they can walk away if they want to,
Hmm.
because at the end it's their child. So I always
Yeah.
understand where they're coming from, and then we do what we do. I give a lot of information, then that also helps me establish some kind of authority, that I know what I'm talking about.
Uh, like, who are your competitors? Like, who do you consider as your competition?
All big corporate
Okay.
companies who are in this space for many years. They're all competitors, but see, I'm not trying to match them because I'm not as aggressive as they are.
Yeah.
Uh, you will always tell them that, hey, listen, if your kid is like independent now, they're done with tutoring, don't force
Hmm.
them to have
Stay.
some
Yeah.
after school class
Yeah.
or do
But are
that.
there other
So
small businesses like yours, not just corporates?
there are so
Okay.
many, but some are operating the instructors from
Okay.
India. So that gives us a little bit of an
Okay.
edge. And you will not know it superficially, like on the outside, you will not. But once you work with them, you will be able to tell the difference in the
Right.
system.
Right.
I'm not saying that's bad or that's good. I'm just saying we are at an advantage in
Okay.
that
Okay.
sense. And another thing, that the network of mentors that we bring is also, that also puts
Hmm.
us at an
Okay.
edge, because we have industry experts who are mentoring if somebody is just confused about different career choices, because see, it has to be done in a
Holistic.
very
Yeah.
holistic way.
Yeah.
That's, and I'm not aggressively scaring
Hmm.
people that, oh, if you don't do this, your kid will never make it in life.
One big thing is student debt in USA.
Mhm.
Do you like, what's your take on that? Is that worth it?
Them navigate so that they can apply to many scholarships. Now that's not heard of, but right from, if a student comes to me very early on, we
Hmm.
recommend a lot of things, which again, like I said, gap, knowledge gap, parents don't know. But I've had
Hmm.
students that they received full rights plus 10K on top
Hmm.
of the tuition.
Okay.
So if you're really smart about it and if you plan, that's again another thing that I promote, like a year in advance.
Right.
And I've also created a whole digital
Hmm.
planner from all of these experiences. That's all in one template. Be
Yeah.
okay.
And mainly, do you have goals set for your business?
So currently, the goal is to also do some passive courses or some
Hmm.
workshops, especially for the digital SAT, wherein I don't have to actively be involved in even in enrolling.
Hmm.
So like have that set up and people can
Hmm.
just, find the information, sign up.
Okay.
Apart from that, yes, so many goals to expand in terms of what we are doing with the college going
Hmm.
students. We introduce the research internships, trying to get more innovative in terms of that. That's the goal. The platforms that I'm using, I'm trying to make like an all in one thing. So that is like a big commitment and it will affect my current services. So I'm not going into
Hmm.
that. Maybe build something on the side
Yeah. Okay.
areas. YouTube also, I want to leverage more on YouTube. We were also trying to start a
Hmm.
podcast, like immigrant parent
Hmm.
friendly, and just walking them through the whole process.
But any goals in terms of you want to reach so many students or monetary goals?
Monetary goals will always be there, right? Being on the Inc. 5000 list is also on
Nice.
my.
Nice. Okay.
I want to do that. I don't know, Forbes list.
Nice.
I just manifesting, putting it
But
out there.
yeah, yeah.
Let's see. But yeah, Inc. 5000 was a goal. It's still a goal. We are working
Sorry, what
towards
was it?
it. It
1,000?
requires
I know. Okay.
5000
Okay.
list.
Yeah.
That's on one of my
What
goals. We are working
what is it
towards.
about? Can you share a little more?
So Inc. 5000, like companies, they promote, like the Inc. company, the Inc. magazine, they have these top 5000 companies
So is
that
it
they
like
are.
most
Uh,
innovative company? What kind of list?
so their criteria is more revenue
Okay.
based. So like fast, like how fast you're growing that. So that is also one of the goals, and maybe a Forbes list. I don't know.
Fine.
That's just manifesting. I'm doing what I'm doing. It's goals will be. We'll
Yeah,
see.
but and I think a way to reach that, which you mentioned, was not, of course, because of the way you offer your services, it's not one-on-one personal coaching, but there are other side parallel paths like building tools, softwares, and that's what you are focusing on, right? That's the one way to. Okay, got it.
Yeah, or like these other platforms, like we are all like the digital planner is like we are entering into digital product
Hmm.
space, which is again like you don't have to buy a complete service, but like something we will have more guides and maybe like a subscription model for users. Like I have a Discord channel, it's not monetized yet, but I'm exploring how to
Hmm.
do that because then I have to like make sure I provide that
Okay.
value so that and then like monetizing these other
Hmm.
channels so then it's not a burden on the family as such, but I can
Hmm.
diversify revenue
Got it.
streams.
Okay. So thank you, Garima. I really enjoyed talking, and I learned a lot. Hopefully, the audience learns a lot, and good luck with your goals, and hope we see you soon on the Inc. 5000 magazine to start with. But yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you. And see, having a common shared background, you asked me such great
I
questions.
appreciate. Thank you.
So I loved talking to you, and I enjoyed, and I see these platforms, these things that you're doing is very important to reach out to many people.
Reach out, share these stories, and this is a very brave thing that you have done. And starting something on your own, it's a big thing. I don't think people realize. People celebrate people in corporate jobs and those ladders they climb and all, but for me personally, this is a bigger thing, and that's where I am striving towards as well. So congratulations on starting this. I think you're doing a very great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I hope you all enjoyed the show and are one step closer to now starting your hustle. If you know any immigrant entrepreneurs and you would like me to bring them on the show, please reach out to me on pod.thehustlers@gmail.com. Also, if you have any suggestions or comments, you can connect with me on Instagram at thehustlerspod, and I post clips on Instagram and YouTube, and I release a new episode every alternate Monday. So stay tuned, and until then, thank you.